Deep Dive Film School makes no claim of ownership of the film footage used in this episode. The film footage is owned entirely by the copyright holders. Also, we're going to spoil the hell out of this movie, so this is your warning. Welcome to Deep Dive Film School!
Oh, this week we're going to get into 2002 Joe Carnahan movie and a scene from Narc.
Let's dive on in. Alright everybody, I am Adam Sherlock.
And I'm Adam Palcher.
And if you like what you see/hear, please like and subscribe. You can find us on all the spaces and places that people find
good media.
That is right.
Great media and all the media.
And this is a new segment that we've been doing. I mean, not that new. We've been doing it for a couple of months, but
way more than that.
That one scene from
Narc, and we're going to do the opening scene of Narc.
Yes.
And, you know, I feel like this movie could be a forgotten gem.
I definitely think so.
I don't know how many people actually know much about this movie.
Yeah.
If it just got swept under the rug. 2002, you know, it's a 20-year-old movie. And
God, it doesn't feel like it's 20 years old at all.
I mean, just watching the scene, and if you've seen this movie and know the scene and you're watching this now, like, one, finish the movie because it's a fucking awesome movie.
Agreed. Yeah.
But this is the opening scene to a very highly intense, gritty cop crime drama.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this movie in Sundance, I think 2001, and I will never forget it. I truly won't, because this scene in particular, because it's one, just such a huge kick in the mouth
right out of the gates,
like,
man.
Boom. I mean, that's one of the most effective things about this scene, but also Carnahan cranked up the sound.
Really?
And so in theater, your nails are like digging into your chair, and this is like a 2-minute scene.
Yeah.
And so it's basically a chase scene.
There isn't a single line of dialogue, I think, other than just like muffled.
Oh, I mean, there's
like voices trying to say things, but there's no discernible dialogue.
There's plenty of sound, which is why he cranked it up, and we'll get into that because it piles on itself. And but you're right, there's not a line of dialogue. We see Jason Patric. So this has got Jason Patric,
Ray Liotta. Yeah.
And Carnahan's, I really thought he would go on to do some cooler stuff.
Same here.
Smoking Aces is okay. It's kind of campy. And then like the A-Team, I guess, whatever. I'm sure it's good for what it is.
Just wasted though. Wasted talent
like,
for something.
If you can make a movie like this, like keep doing it. Like I feel like someone like Taylor Sheridan, who went on to do like Hell or High Water, or like Wind River, or like who's in like I'm trying to think. I know Villanueva did like Sicario. Like do like Sicario.
Or like Prisoners, or like some of this stuff. Yeah, totally.
So like I felt like he should have gone in more in that direction. He kind of went for maybe I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but like I saw this movie, I'm like, holy shit, this guy is like amazing.
Yeah.
And this scene in particular, you know, I mean, yeah, Ray Liotta, we got Busta Rhymes in this movie.
Yeah.
It's just an underrated movie overall, so please go see it if you haven't. But this scene, scene, you know, we get about 15 seconds of Jason Patric looking off into the distance, and then like,
and he looks forlorn, and he looks very deeply troubled.
Yeah, and he's got this big mustache.
And then we find the scene of why he is that way.
Well, they do this quick flash to this pan of drugs cooking, and it's like over stylized, and they're pulling needles, and then bang, we're right out the door of this apartment building, and this crackhead is running, jumping over fences, through parking lots, through other people's houses. And
we get the impression that even though it's not shown at all, it's a pie tin. It's a pie tin with boiling drugs on it and 2 syringes pulling that out. And then we get that impression, even though the very next scene is like, boom, right out the door of this crackhead running and Jason Patric running after, that both of them just shot up and something happened for us to know that whoever the drug dealer was, we don't know anything yet. Although we've because the movie's called Narc, and we know that Jason Patric's in it, then we go, oh well, he's a cop, right? And so then right there you go, he's got to be undercover. He comes out, he's in this like fucking Magnum PI like Hawaiian shirt that's like unbuttoned and undone. His hair is all unkempt, and
here's some Magnum PI going on here.
And he's chasing furiously after this other guy.
I never got the impression they shot up together.
Oh, I totally did. I mean, don't you think that his
I thought
sweatiness and his disorientation is because he's totally under the influence of drugs. That's what I got. I guess gathered.
To a degree, I thought that that he's maybe on something, because it is super intense, and the way that Carnahan shoots it is a big part of it. But I kind of got that that's what he was running with, and that's guy gets stabbed in the neck. Is that a syringe full of drugs that or whatever? I
didn't know that was a thing I should be afraid of. That moment created a phobia in me. It's like a little old lady believing some fucking urban legend from like Fox News of like, and the drug dealers, they'll just shoot it right into you. And you're like, no drug dealer is going to waste drugs like that. And you're like, they might if they're being chased on foot by an undercover narcotics officer. Like, they might do that to be like, I'm going to give this poor fucking guy who looks like he might be delivering something for UPS.
Yeah.
And oh my God, he stabs him with it and I mean, plunger all the way down, and the guy's laying on the ground like gurgling like death rattles.
More and more we do these scenes, the more and more I find myself talking about sound. Sound is so utterly
You're totally right. Yeah.
And utterly underrated. How effective a scene can be with how you play with it. Whether it's what we did last time with Christmas Vacation or something
Crunches,
here.
Yeah.
Because by the end of this 2-minute scene, so much sound has piled on top, whether it's sirens screaming, kids screaming, gunshots, him screaming.
Him being out of breath.
Yeah, breathing heavy.
Yeah.
And the way Carnahan shoots this, it's almost feels like a video game for like 30 seconds of it.
Yeah.
Because it's so like jumpy and back and forth to the point where it could probably make someone sick.
Yeah.
But like the way they're basically, it's like an episode of Cops, right? But how can we make this different than Cops?
Well, and I think the other part too is that we focus on him, on Jason Patric's character so much that when he is running and looking and then goes down another alley and hops over another fence, we're like, is that really where the guy went? Like, how did you even know? Like, we couldn't see where the guy went. It's like it's purposely disorienting in this way that I think one of the things... I feel
like he speeds it up to at a point. I feel like he's like, they're going in fast speed.
Or the frame rate's different or something. But I think one of the things that makes it really important for the rest of the movie is that it shows this almost like painfully, pathetically out of control nature to the job that an undercover officer has, sure. Right? That even though they have a badge and they've been trained and they have all this experience, that when it really comes down to it, it's one drugged up, paranoid, terrified idiot chasing another drugged up, paranoid, terrified idiot. So right? And so this feeling of like, oh, this is our hero. And our hero is completely inept, not because he's a bad person or bad at his job, but because the entire nature of what he's trying to do is a folly in and of itself. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like it gives us that in this 2-minute scene, and that paints the vibe for the next 2 hours of this movie. That it's like, it doesn't really matter.
You're on edge.
It doesn't really matter. Like, none of us are really that good at it because this whole fucking world is out of control, right? And that's like so potent and important to show here.
And it becomes tragic in multiple ways very quickly. You talked about the death rattle and the gargling with the blood. Oh my God. And if that's not a syringe that was it just a knife that he stabbed?
No, it was a syringe.
It was. Okay.
It totally was. No, you're right. It was.
Okay, cool. I was like, okay. But, he checks on him and the guy's freaking out.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck, I gotta go get the guy.
It's like I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And you hear that death rattle, and now the crackhead is running towards a playground.
Oh my God.
And you're like, especially from the mom's perspective here, worst case scenario.
You're like, no. Yeah.
And all of this is happening within a span of 2 minutes. So this chase is still on, and they're running.
Yeah.
But now he's got a kid hostage. And he pulls out his gun, and his gun's been out a lot of before he even stabbed the first guy.
Yep.
Shooting at him.
Yep.
And
and those sounds of the gun.
Again.
Oh my God.
I mean, the symphony of sounds put you in such disarray.
Because there's no music here.
There's no music.
No music at all.
Purely sound, breathing, gargling, blood boiling, sirens, screaming constantly from all directions. Like by the end, when he ends up screaming and they cut to the title card, which fucking awesome opening.
Yes.
Like you're just like, what did I just see?
Yeah.
What, like, so much happened.
What's the rest of it gonna be like?
So he ends up, yeah, I know, right? So he ends up shooting the guy in the face. Ballsy move to shoot a guy holding a kid like that. Yep. I mean, which is why he held him. But gets him in the face, kills the crackhead, and the kid, he pulls the kid off, and he's okay, and he's screaming. But the mom gets shot in the hip, and of course he pulls the jacket off, and she's pregnant, and he's just freaking out, pulls off his shirt, tries to tie off her leg, and it's just the gushing of blood.
And didn't you feel it?
Oh, I
felt like that the director, like when they were orchestrating what this scene was going to look like, where she gets shot is so perfect for this neutered helplessness.
Yeah, so
where
helpless.
It's so high up that he's tying it off and it's slipping because it's too far up, like on her hip, so it's not like you can actually get a tourniquet there, and the blood is just black. I mean, the other thing that we should mention here is that from an art direction, this is so bleached out and sour, it might as well have like been leftover footage from the beginning of fucking Saving Private Ryan. Like, you cannot discern a single actual color for what it might actually be, because the reds are black and the greens are blue and everything is so
it definitely like
saturated and
takes
gross
out of the Guy
looking.
Ritchie over stylized part of stuff a little bit, how a little bit, but
not in a cool way. It's in a disgusting way.
It's not in an inviting way like his stuff is. Yeah, for sure.
And so it is like that blood just pouring out of her hip, and the shirt sliding, like it's so sad.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just so much tragedy wrapped up in 2 minutes of this chaos, and you just don't see scenes quite like this, especially as the opening scene of the movie.
Yes.
I don't know how you could stop watching. I mean, I guess if you're like, oh, whoa, that's too much for me. That's not it. That's too much for me. And honestly, I'm thinking about the rest of the movie where it gets gritty and crazy and tense for sure, but you're honestly seeing the worst of it. Up front in that first 2 minutes.
It paints, well, it never leaves you for the rest of the movie. It's this echo throughout all the rest of the movie.
And just highly effective.
NYPD detective Todd Merritt, who acted as an advisor in the film, said that scene in particular was incredibly realistic. And he'd been with the police force since '86, and on the narcotics squad for the past 9 years, has been undercover himself on many occasions, chasing down drug dealers and junkies through back alleys and streets of New York, and was like, that's exactly what it's like. He said and he actually said they shot the scene as if Jason Patric's character had shot up. Mm-hmm. And he said each precinct has different rulings for this stuff. He said in New York, you would have to like report directly, like, hey, I couldn't get out of I had to do drugs. Yeah. And they were like, you get reprimanded, like a lot of times you can get fired. Yeah. And he said, however, in Detroit, which is where this movie takes place, he's like, the Detroit precincts have numerous rehabs just for undercover officers.
Wow.
He's like, because they don't fire you, like they understand that's part of the gig. But I was just like, so that's not overly dramatized, like that's realistic. Like, why would anyone do that job? Like, that's like, I get it, like there's bad guys in the world, but you just let them do their thing. Do you really want to go and do that job? Like, that seems. And I just think about this scene later in the movie, now not couched in this scene, but where he's naked. Jason Patric's character is naked, and he's just gotten out of the shower, and he picks up his newborn baby and holding this like
with the baby,
incredibly delicate just little fragile thing after that sequence.
It's like the next scene.
Yeah. And you're just like, like how do you
balance that?
I mean, just the sound of those bullets clicking out of that gun, just like those horrible sounds to like him holding this baby. The dichotomy between the two is just absolutely incredible. I mean, that's
great movie.
Yeah,
Ray Liotta's awesome too.
Oh my God, he gained like 30 pounds, and he's terrifying.
I mean, he's a great asshole.
Yeah, he's great. He's like a big old grizzly bear in that movie. If you haven't seen Narc, go see it. But this moment at the beginning, holy shit.
Yeah, just go watch this and then tell me you won't keep watching it. So,
oh yeah,
awesome scene, awesome show. Thank you very much, everyone. Please like and subscribe.
Yes.
Next week we're gonna finish up our Almodovar Festival with "Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down," and we'll see you after that.
Bye, you guys.
Thanks, everyone.